Coming up on this episode of Free Lunch. He said, you still fear your father. And fear and abundant love, or probably just love at all, really, can't exist truly in the same space. When it comes to my kids, it was like, God telling me like you trust me, but when it comes to your kids, you don't trust me with their life. Like, you trust me with your life, but you struggle to trust me with their life. You don't want them to see you cry because you want them to know, or you want to convey the message to your family like that it's going to be okay. Everything's going to be all right. For sure, I know there's a large part of that doing nothing that was bothering my wife because she likes doing the most. Of course, my bedside snacks, wifey coming through with my favorite snacks and drinky drink. Our sponsors this season are Dobie and Rollins Orthodontics. Excellence, excitement, and empathy, helping you love your smile. The Curly Hair Salon by Luvena Leslie, specializing in treating your curly hair with the love and care that it needs. Forever TV, the Establishment Enterprises music artist and author of 90 Days to God. They are the winning souls who are winning souls. Track Major Studios, your go-to source for music production, website design, digital promo, and more. And Rojan Miller, licensed realtor and property investor, handling all your real estate needs from buying, selling, investing, and more. Well. What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Freestyle Gospel, a.k.a. The Real Frii, with our first We Outside episode. As you can see, all this behind me. So I have my family here with me at the park, over here at Edgerton Park. I don't know how you specifically pronounce it, but here in Hamden, Connecticut, New Haven borderline, and fresh off of our Father's Day. So I had a lot of Father's Day, topics or just things on my mind all week, leading up to Father's Day and beyond. But it was pretty dope. For me, I will say my Father's Day was enjoyably quiet, just the way I like it. So my wife asked me what I want to do for Father's Day, and I was like, absolutely nothing, because I'm already too busy. I'm already doing the most. So one of the things I always talk about is having having downtime to watch television, right? Like, I know a lot of people who, they keep up with the latest TV shows or, whatever's happening on the latest streaming platforms, or even like social media for that, matter. And I'm like really always out of the loop. So Father's Day came and I wanted to I knew I wanted to sleep in. So I did that. I think I ended up getting up around like 12 or 1 o'clock. And then I just wanted to binge watch TV all day, catch up on like TV that I don't get to otherwise. So my wife brought me breakfast in the morning, breakfast in bed, made me dinner in the evening. She even stayed with me and binge watched TV with me. So that was super dope. Shout outs to the wife. And I had, of course, my bedside snacks, wifey coming through with my favorite snacks and drinky drink. So I was in heaven, man, literally doing nothing. Just the way I like it. Now I know for sure, there's a large part of that doing nothing that was bothering my wife because she likes doing the most for everybody when it's their thing to celebrate. You know what I mean? It's not even for her. It's for me, but she likes to do the most, even when I tell her not to. But she behaved herself this time. She ain't have no crazy surprises. She absolutely sat herself down, so to speak, and let me enjoy Father's Day the way I wanted to enjoy Father's Day because it's for me. It's not for her. But bless God for her, though. I still love her. But yeah, so Father's Day was dope. I got a chance to spend time with my dad the day before because I knew, my wife, my family, would want to be with me. And so that could get really like busy, as well as, as far as my father is concerned. he has two, my two youngest siblings still he's raising in his house. So they might, they usually have things that they're doing with him already, or his wife, has planned, dinner or something with him, or he's out with his motorcycle buddies. So I caught him the day before. We was able to get up at the diner. And I really, really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed, the conversation with my father. Probably all of the like recent conversations, really, because they've just been like different. I think the older I get, like this year, I'll be 40 years old, guys. Like 40, that's crazy. And I think this time, like lately, the conversations, to me at least, have been more transparent between my father and I. He's getting older. He's not getting any younger. I'm not getting any younger. And I think that it started to cause him to be more transparent and vulnerable with me. And I really appreciate that. I don't think my father really knows how much his vulnerability, or the times in which he's dared to like open up with me, about personal things with him or whatever, how much it's helped me as a man. And that's in a couple ways. Like, one, being able to understand parts of myself a little more. Like, wow, that's like, like that's where I get that from, or the way he explains how something's happening in his life, how he's experienced something, allowing me to like articulate something difficult that I might be experiencing. Like, wow, like that's how you kind of explain that, to people. So I've appreciated his recent vulnerability. I remember probably my like oldest memory of, probably my dad's first attempt at being vulnerable with me as his son, or just like kind of giving me game as a man, like for when I get older, was about like if men cry, or like how do men cry, or what have you. So like I remember like asking him one time when I was younger, I was like, Dad, do you ever cry? Like, how come we'll never see you cry? And I remember him telling me, he's like, I do cry. I cry a lot. And I was like, nah, we don't never see you. And I remember him telling me, he's like, I cry in the shower. I get in the shower, I let it all, come out, and the water rinses it all away. I get myself together. And then when I come out the bathroom, by the time I come out, I'm all done. So, that stuck with me like for years, you know what I mean? And as I became a young man, an older man, got married, began having children, and really living life and experiencing some of those crazy things that make you as a man want to cry, I did the same thing. Even to this day, I employ the same, strategy, because as a father, you don't want to see, or you don't want your, necessarily your children or your wife always to see you vulnerable or crying. I don't really think, maybe it's not even an issue maybe of you don't want them to see you vulnerable. I think in certain situations, you don't want them to see you cry because you want them to know, or you want to convey the message to your family like that it's going to be okay. Everything is going to be all right. So for that vulnerable moment you have where you feel like crying with your wife, with like the way your kids, everybody else is crying, you want to kind of steal away in secret and have that moment. Again, not because you don't want to show vulnerability or transparency to your family, but it's because you can see whatever the particular crisis is or difficult situation that you're going through, you already kind of are trying to impart to your family faith and like hope. And if they're already crying and then they now see dad crying, like you don't want to just compound that fear or anxiety, whatever it is that they're all faced with. So, taking time to cry in the shower, you know what I mean? Like let it all out there, was some game that I got from my dad, and I appreciate him giving me that game early on, early. So that was, that was powerful, man. I got a chance to hear from my, one of my teenage daughters that I don't get to hear from often. Uh, many people don't know, but we have one of our daughters. She has some challenging times. She has a lot of like familial challenges. Like she experienced a lot of like death in her family. That's really kind of rocked her world as a young child. And the way that trauma has kind of impacted her hasn't really allowed her to always be the best self or person that she would like to even be. But I love that, I think, I could appreciate that she always, knows how much I love her. I know she loves me deep inside. And so, these kids are getting so big, man. Like I have 3 teenage, this year I'll have 4 teenagers, man, and um, these kids, as they get older, they really, for me, I think they really like humble you as a parent and show you just how much you have to trust them. Like we have to trust them as their parents to really take their own bruises on the knee. Like when we're raising our kids as little like toddlers, babies, we have such this precious sense of control over them. We holding them by the hand, we control to a very large degree, how hard they fall, if they fall at all, because we're holding their hand, right, as they learn to begin to walk. So their bumps and bruises at that age, like we're really much in control of. Like, you know what I mean? Like that baby does not scrape their knee, get a bump or boo-boo unless I allowed it somehow, unless I wasn't paying attention or, somehow they sped away from me or whatever, I wasn't looking. But as those kids get older, metaphorically speaking, to the bumps and the bruises, like we become less in control. And when you watch them from afar while they navigate the real world and they're scraping their knees up and they getting those bumps and bruises, it's terrifying. It's really, really terrifying. It's a big source of anxiety for me. I've had to really, really trust God in a different way that I've never had to before, this particular season. And I'm somebody that has always, like, more than once, I think have pride myself a lot in like my level of faith in God. Like I got so much faith, like I trust God, and like, and that's true in a major way. And God had to show me that spot though of like major growth in my faith. When it comes to my kids, it was like, God telling me like you trust me, but when it comes to your kids, you don't trust me with their life. Like you trust me with your life, but you struggle to trust me with their life. And that hit me like a ton of bricks the first time. Like I, felt God telling me that, man. So this has been like a really big growing season in my faith in God in a new way. Faith, trusting the lives of my children in God's hands. And it's been like a growing season, I think, and like I said, my relationship with my father. Another really big revelatory moment for me last year. I think along the time like following Father's Day, maybe in the fall. It was around the time like my grandfather who passed away last year. A little around that time of his funeral. Like my father and I, we were having this. We would occasionally have this like conversation where he would ask me, like what's up with our relationship? Like what's missing? Like my father wanted us to, I guess, be closer. I guess maybe spend more time with each other, do more things with each other. And for for me, I feel like, me and my father and I have a great relationship, just the way it is, you know, or the way it has been, over the years, where he would have approached me with this question, like what's up with our relationship. And so I could see, he wanted more. And both of my parents being teenage parents, I think a large part of him maybe, I know from my mom, so I just assume, probably from my father too, a large part of, probably his thought or thinking was maybe I held something against him being a teenage dad and like, his imperfections, and maybe that was like the kind of like unspoken elephant in the room, if you will, between us that didn't allow us to get closer. Like maybe I was holding something against him. And I would, and I wasn't, I never have. And so every time he would ask me like this question, like, like what is it between us? Like, like are you holding up something against me? Are you upset with me? Like why? Whatever. And I never, I would become frustrated with the question because in my mind, there's nothing wrong with the relationship we have. Like I respect you, you know what I mean? I honor you. When you call for me, I come. If you ever need me to do something, I shovel your yard. I, come help you, fix things or whatever. And so, my response only to that question was like either I don't know, like or what you talking about, man? Like I don't see a problem or issue. So clearly he wanted more from our relationship. So the revelation I got last year, again, another thing that hit me like a ton of bricks was God like just really like spoke to me and revealed to me one day. He said, you still fear your father. And fear and abundant love, or probably just love at all, really, can't exist truly in the same space. And so, although like you love your father to a degree, you respect and honor him, there's gonna be kind of like this invisible ceiling still there because that little boy inside is still trying to like grow and like heal through really the big portion of like fear of your father that you still have from a child, and so, my dad has since like, he's like admitted those things and, his maybe flawed types of approaches to parenting as a young father many, many times, like, so we've already kind of like crossed that bridge and like we've had those conversations. But I think me as a man, like I really, I think what like was a mental block for me for like never being able to like times past come to the acceptance or realize that I feared my father was like my male ego, like as a man, like what? You know what I mean? Like I ain't scared of that dude, right? And when you can't admit something, that's the biggest hurdle or challenge to growth or healing in that area because you can't accept it, you can't accept the truth. And so God hit me with that, man, reality, that revelation. And I was like, wow, that's true. Like that was the thing that was there all along, all these years, like as a man that my dad was like, would be asking me about like, yo, man, like, what is it? Like, and that's what it was all this time. And so the minute God like gave me that revelation, I was able to give that thing to God, man, like, like ASAP. And just as fast as I was able to get the revelation and give that thing to God and just, ask God to just heal me in that area and like remove that fear, it was like, yo, like a breath of fresh air, man, like a huge weight lifted off my spirit. And I really genuinely felt like out of nowhere, I got this like rush and influx of a newfound, like new level of love for my dad, like for our relationship. But it was like so crazy because at the time I was getting this revelation and sort of this newfound freedom. It was unfortunate that it was happening at the same time my dad was like really dealing with this traumatic kind of like really emotional time in his life with losing his dad. So I think, some months like we've gotten in between, the passing of my grandfather and now like, the last month or two is kind of like allowed, him to kind of come out the clouds a little bit about with that. And then, me kind of be able to start to even kind of interact or reveal to him that like, I'm ready for a better version, a greater version of our relationship. And I know like it's like baby steps. Like this is a gradual thing. And so I'm just excited for that relationship with my father to grow because I know that thing, right? Like that block is no longer there between us. And so there's still like, I think some conversations for us to have. And I think the biggest takeaway is really to dare to have those conversations with the people like that really matter to you and dare to be vulnerable with them and like transparent. And it's scary. Like it's not to take that from you guys who feel the fear of that. But it's worth it, man. Like if I could like leave you with anything and any encouragement, like just know that it is worth it times 10, man. Like what I feel towards my father right now is a degree of emotion and like love that I haven't felt before for a fact. And just even a degree of like tolerance, you know what I mean? Because like we're still like all imperfect people. We're still growing. Like, so even like the things that like still to this day, and probably even more so because I'm getting so much older, even like annoys me about my father, like stuff that he does or like whatever. It like even hits me different. Like it rolls off, my shoulder, like right off my back, even different. Like it don't stick the way certain things used to stick. It's just like, because I really like love this dude in a way that I've never ever experienced before. So, I hope that all of you, the fathers out there, I hope you guys enjoyed your Father's Day. For those who have lost their father and is no longer here, I impart peace and comfort to you guys. And for those who have your father still around and, you kind of have an estranged relationship or, no relationship at all, then there's still pain and trauma and hurt there. I pray that you guys, have healing. I pray that you guys be encouraged to keep trying again, knocking at that door, and wishing you all the best, man. Wishing you guys well. But thank y'all, man, for tuning in for this really, really dope outdoor episode. More of these to come, so make sure you subscribe to the podcast, get all the alerts, and follow us on social media at The Real Frii. That's The Real Frii, and then Free Lunch podcast. That's FRII Lunch everywhere, so you can get those pop-up notifications. Like when we decide to hit a place outdoors, man, we inviting all the community to just pop up and meet us. So we got the other seat right here with the mic ready to go for anybody who would just popped up today. So please subscribe, keep following us, stay tuned, man, for more. Season 5. Peace.